Sometimes we can see the Feast of the Ascension as a single thing, as one of the great feasts of the church. That's too small a context. And we can see it as one of the events in Jesus' life. He descended to earth, was born, and now he reascended to his Father. And that's true, but it's too small a context. You can see it as part of the Easter season. It begins with Easter. We celebrate Easter for some weeks, then the Ascension, and it ends in Pentecost. And it's true, but it's too small a context. We have to see the Ascension, to see it completely and clearly, in the context of what God was doing. Creating the world first, creating the universe and all that is in it, creating humankind. But then he lost us through original sin, and we turned away from God. But that did not satisfy God. God didn't create us in order to lose us. And so he sent his only begotten Son, who gathered some people around him, and in particular named 12 disciples. And he created a church, established it on Peter, and then ascended to his Father once all that was in place. Jesus, or God, could have redeemed the world in any number of ways, theologians speculate. He chose this way, according to God's own wisdom. We don't understand it yet, but we understand that God's purpose has always been the same. That the human beings he created be with him. First, to live with him, but now to live in him, to share his glory. And that's the purpose of the church. To gather all people into itself so that they eventually can be part of God. And that missionary spirit was in the church from the beginning. It's what the church is. Theologians and philosophers have always said to find out the purpose of something, discover what it is. So in a few minutes, we will say what the church is. It's one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. So it's one church, and it's Catholic, it's universal. It was meant to embrace all peoples. It's holy, not because every individual member of it is holy, but because, as we prayed in the collect, it is the body to Jesus, the head. And it's apostolic. That's not just something the church does among other things. It's who she is. Apostolos, meaning sent, or to send in Greek. And so, to be a member of the church is to be sent. Where? Out into the world to gather everyone into itself. To teach and to baptize, so that all have the chance to belong to Jesus. And I was thinking yesterday for the Saturday, it was the feast of St. Augustine of Canterbury. And St. Augustine of Canterbury was sent to the English people many years ago to evangelize England. And we can look back on our history and we see that going on, that there, St. Patrick, St. Columban went to evangelize Ireland. St. Francis Xavier to evangelize Japan. Different people, one of them are Jean-Martin Moy, the founder of the Congregation of Divine Providence, went to China. He spent quite a few years in China as a missionary. The Franciscans and the Jesuits came to this country. The church has been sent from its inception. And so that is what we are to do. Now we look around the world and we say, what happened to Europe? What happened to Japan, China, Russia, even our own country? That these countries have, especially Europe, has lost the faith that she once received. So what does the church do? Does she say, well, you had your chance, tough, or it's hopeless, there's no way? No. We have to go out again and re-evangelize. We cannot stop until Jesus comes again and the church presents him with all who want to be part of him. And so now you might say our apostolic mission is not to evangelize, but to re-evangelize. And where once that was mostly priests and monks and bishops and sisters, now it's likely that it's going to be the lay faithful. And it appears as though this is part of your calling, your vocation as lay faithful in the church, because you're part of the church. And so you may not be sent to Russia, but you're still sent. And until we recapture that idea of church not as a place where we come and hear Mass, although each individual parish still is that, we're fed, nourished, but we have to recover that idea that the church is a group of disciples of Jesus who are sent out to gather in other disciples for Jesus. And that may look like a lot of things. And it occurred to me, one of the things we have to keep in mind, in the culture we're in, evangelization is often seen as proselytization. And we often say, don't impose your beliefs on me. Don't force your stuff on me, And it's funny, I was thinking of this. Listen to the language we use regularly about a lot of things. I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm guessing you said it, You have got to go to this restaurant, man. You have to see this movie. Come on, we're going next Saturday. I'll pick you up. I'll take you. If we talk like that about our faith, about our religion, people would say, man, back off, don't, And it's not that we want to force anyone. God himself does not force us. But we have backed so far away from being a church that is apostolic, that is sent to gather others, that we've lost that mission almost. But listen to this. Let me put evangelization in maybe a different light. May the eyes of your hearts be enlightened, Paul writes to the Ephesians, that you may know what is the hope that belongs to his call, what are the riches of glory in his inheritance among the holy ones. If we get excited about a movie that we need somebody to see, or some restaurant that serves great, I don't know, fish tacos. Oh, that's right. Or you got to go to this concert with me. This is a great singer. Imagine for a minute the riches of the glory that await those who belong to Jesus and enter into the glory of heaven. Just imagine what it must be like. We can't imagine it, right? You remember this line from Paul: eye has not seen, ear has not heard, no one's even thought of what awaits for those who love God. And so, if we get that in our mind, the glory that awaits us, the glory of eternal life in God and with God, suddenly then it makes sense to say, man, you have got to come to know Jesus. You've got to give your life to Jesus, because what awaits you is amazing. It's the most amazing thing and you can't even imagine it. And so even if we just start there, we'll recover, I think, the evangelistic spirit, the apostolic spirit that is part of who the church is. So if you think of ascension in any way less than all that, you're thinking about the ascension in too small a context.